Access your free language gifts right now before they expire. Here's what you're getting this month. First, the Using Opposites Conversation Cheat Sheet. With this new cheat sheet, you'll learn common opposite adjectives like near and far, hot and cold, and grammar rules on how to use these words in a sentence. Second, the How to Say Goodbye PDF Writing Workbook. With this printable PDF, you'll pick up some common parting greetings and be able to practice writing them out. Third, can you talk about cars in your target language? Learn how to say words like tire, windshield, headlights, and more with this quick vocab bonus. Fourth, must know words and phrases for public transportation. Learn how to say ticket, bus, train, and much more with this quick 1-minute lesson. Fifth, the 10 habits of highly effective language learners. Wondering which habits will help you succeed with language learning? Then check out this free lesson. Sixth, want the language learning app that gets you speaking? Download Innovative Language Learning for free for the Android, iPhone, and iPad. You'll unlock bite-sized audio and video lessons that teach you practical conversations and start speaking in minutes. And finally, the deal of the month. If you want to make your language learning breakthrough this year and get full access to our complete learning program, then get 31% off Premium and Premium Plus with the Breakthrough Sale. To get your gifts and language learning resources, click the link in the lesson description below. Download them right now before they expire. Hi everybody, welcome back to Ask Alicia, the weekly series where you ask me questions and I answer them. Maybe. Okay, let's get to your first question this week. First question this week comes from Eden M. Hi Eden. Eden says, time is important in the United States and many people frown upon lateness. What does it mean to frown upon lateness? Thanks, Alicia. Great question. Yeah, this idea of frown upon something means we look down on something or we consider something bad. In this case, frown upon lateness means we think that being late is a bad thing. So if you are late, it reflects badly or poorly on your character. So you can use this frown upon plus some noun or noun phrase to express that you don't feel good about that thing. So for example, you might say something like, many people frown upon gambling. They think it's unhealthy or a poor use of money. Or, my parents frown upon drinking a lot. They say that it's not good for your body. So you can use a different noun in place of lateness to refer to looking down on something, to thinking that something is not good. A frown refers to the opposite of a smile, but we can't use smile upon, actually. We use frown upon only in this case. So I hope this answers your question. To frown upon lateness or to frown upon something means to look down on that noun or to have a poor opinion of that noun. Thanks for the question. Okay, let's move on to your next question. Next question comes from Yori or Lori. Hi. Lori says, how do I improve my reading comprehension? And what should I do when I find unfamiliar words while having a conversation or reading some books? Okay, so these two questions are connected, I think. How to improve your reading comprehension and what you do when you find new words, like when you're reading a book or maybe you're in a conversation. My suggestion is when you're reading a book and you find a new word, try to guess what the word means just by yourself for a moment. Try to guess what the word means and then don't worry too much about it. And then review. Come back to that same word or that same page maybe a little bit later or after your study session or whatever. If you still can't guess what that word means based on the context, then check a dictionary and make a note somewhere. Write it down. Then after you do that, maybe the next day, review it again. So this practice of gradually finding new words in your reading will help you to build your vocabulary, yes, and it will boost your reading comprehension. So you need to actively be working on considering these words in your mind by yourself first, and then looking for extra information when you need it. This is a time-consuming process, yes, but it will gradually help you to build your reading comprehension and boost your vocabulary skills. So you can also apply this then in speaking. When you learn those new words from books and from your different readings, you can also apply those words in your speech. So I hope that this helps you. Remember, try to guess what the word means on your own, check back again later after you've read some more of the text, look up the word in a dictionary, and most importantly, review, review, review. All right, let's go to our next question. Next question comes from Carlos Alberto Rosario. Hello, Carlos. Carlos says, "Hi, Alicia, I'm from Brazil. Thanks for your lessons. My question, why do native speakers sometimes use do before verbs and sometimes not? For example, I do believe in love and I believe in love." Oh, okay. So this is a question about emphasis. So for example, with your example, I believe in love versus I do believe in love, the I do pattern could be in response to a question. Like, do you believe in love? You could say, I do believe in love. The do acts as an emphasis, like, yes, absolutely. You can say, of course, correctly, I believe in love. Yes, I believe in love. But that do shows emphasis for something. I do believe in love. You can also use this in some situations as like a confirmation of something. Like in past tense, you might see this example. Like, hey, you didn't finish this report. What happened? Then you could say, wait, no, I did finish that report. So that will show that there's some kind of contrast with the speaker's opinion. Like you're trying to reverse or like confirm something that actually happened. You might also see this used more commonly in past tense. So you might see both of these. They're very common. One is for emphasis, as in your example sentence, I think, and one to kind of confirm or to give some contrasting information, as in the, yes, I did finish that report. So I hope that this helps you. Thanks very much for the question. Okay, let's move on to your next question. Next question comes from Yin Mon U. Hi, Yin Mon U. Yin Mon U says, "Hi, Alicia. I want to know the difference between break and crack. For example, I crack eggs into a bowl, or I break eggs into a bowl. What's the difference?" Yeah, great question. So the difference here is in the type of break. So if you imagine break as like an umbrella, and then we have a lot of different types of break underneath that umbrella. This might help you a little bit. So to break something means like to destroy something, kind of generally, like to break a bone, or in your example, to break an egg. So we just destroy that thing in some way, right, when we use break. To crack something, a crack is a specific type of break. So when we crack an egg, we see lines form on the egg, right? Those are cracks. So we can use this as a noun as well. So when you have some kind of break that causes those lines to appear somewhere, you can describe that as cracking the object, or you can use the noun, as I did, to describe those lines as cracks in the object. For example, if a building is destroyed in an earthquake, you might say, oh my gosh, there are cracks in the building. So that's a specific type of destruction, or a specific type of break. So in your example, you can say break the eggs into a bowl. You could say crack the eggs into a bowl. They're both completely correct. Just consider that crack is like a specific type of break. I hope that this helps you. Thanks very much for the question. Okay, let's move on to your next question. Next question comes from Milud Elumri. Hello, Milud. Milud says, "I can easily read and comprehend English well, and also write advanced and complicated English reports, but my pronunciation is really problematic for me, though people still understand me. I think this has affected my spelling. How do I quickly improve my pronunciation and perhaps undo or forget my bad pronunciation that I've learned?" Good question. So if you know that you are pretty good with English and you feel confident with your communication skills but want to work on your pronunciation, a really great thing you can do is record yourself. I know that a lot of people feel really uncomfortable about it, but it's so helpful to listen to your own voice. By record yourself, I mean use your phone. So just try listening to a video, for example. Listen to me speaking or find some other video to watch to compare your voice to. Try to say the same thing as the person in the video. Record yourself saying that and listen to it, because it's sometimes really, really hard for us to hear our own voices when we're speaking. Like, it's really hard to understand how other people perceive the way we sound. So by recording yourself, you can listen and find those spots that sound different from the native speaker. So yes, this will take time, but you can focus on maybe some sounds that you realize maybe you make mistakes with a lot. So for example, maybe you make a lot of mistakes with TH sounds, or with R sounds, or with L sounds. Once you practice this and listen to yourself, you'll be able to identify those. So that's what I would recommend. Try recording yourself and listening. A lot of people say, I hate the sound of my voice. That's fine. But remember, this is for your studies, right? You're using this to improve your language skills. So you don't have to share it with anyone else. Just listen to it yourself and find the parts that are different in your speech in comparison with the native speaker and work on those. So I hope that this helps you, and good luck with your continued studies. All right, that is everything that I have for this week. Thank you, as always, for... Hi everybody, welcome back to Ask Alicia, the weekly series where you ask me questions and I answer them. Maybe. Okay, let's get to your first question this week. First question this week comes from Sadaf. Hi Sadaf. Sadaf says, hi Alicia, my question is, when do we use actually and when do we use really? I'm always confused about whether to use really or actually in a sentence. Love from Pakistan. Cool, thanks for the question. Sure, yeah, let's talk about really and actually. Let's start with the word really. We use really to emphasize something. We tend to use it a lot, for example, in front of adjectives, when we want to show that something is especially or extra that adjective. For example, this is really beautiful, or that dinner was really delicious. You can think of this use as similar to very, right? So when we want to emphasize something, we say that it is really something. In contrast, actually is used to talk about things that are truly something else. So I can understand why really and actually might seem like they have similar uses, but we use actually when we want to clarify something, when we want to express that something is true or something was real. So we use this when maybe someone has made a comment that is not true or is not correct, and we want to correct their comment. So for example, if someone says to you, hey, didn't you pass your English exam last week? That was last week, right? You might say, actually, my exam is next week. So that actually means truly or really, or it's like a kind of correction to the thing the other person said. So we use actually when we need to correct or clarify something. We use really when we need to emphasize something. Here's another example with actually. Let's look at another example situation. Hey, I haven't received that file yet. Did you send it to me? Oh, actually, I forgot. I'm so sorry about that. So in that example situation, it might be someone clarifying the situation for another person. So they use actually to express some kind of true or real information. So I hope that this helps you understand the differences between really and actually. Emphasis and kind of clarification or correction of information. Thanks very much for the question. Okay, let's get to your next question. Next question comes from Nabil. Hi Nabil. Nabil says, what is the difference between or and nor? Thank you. Yeah, good question. They seem really similar, right? Or and nor. There's just one letter different. So we use or and nor in positive and negative expressions. For example, when you're choosing between two things, someone might offer you a choice. They might say, would you like the red shirt or the blue shirt, for example? So we're using or to show an offer in this case, or we're using it in a question pattern. We use nor in negative sentence patterns. For example, you might respond to that as, I would like neither the red shirt nor the blue shirt. So you're showing that both of the options are not what you want. They're not what you're looking for. We use nor to express that. This tends to sound a little bit more formal. We don't use these kinds of patterns so much in everyday speech now, but you might hear them from time to time. So the key here, though, is that you're using it in a negative sentence. In this example, I said, I would like neither the red shirt nor the blue shirt. So using or in this example sentence would be incorrect. I would like neither the red shirt or the blue shirt would be totally incorrect. We have to match the negative, neither, with nor in this sentence pattern. So if you want to express that two choices or multiple choices are all not acceptable for you and you want to use this kind of pattern, you can totally do that. But just remember, you can't interchange or and nor. So in sum, or is used to present different options like colors or maybe sizes, whatever it is, and nor is used to respond to those in a negative sentence pattern. So I hope that this helps you understand the differences between or and nor. Thanks very much for the question. Okay, let's go to your next question. Next question comes from Sergey. Hi, Sergey. Sergey says, "Hi, teacher. Hope all is well. I just watched your video about the word shoot, and it reminded me of a song by Divine called Shoot Your Shot. I thought the name of the song is something like an English idiom, and the meaning is do what you consider you have to do. Am I right? Is this expression used nowadays?" Yeah, good question. So shoot your shot. Yes, you're very close with your example with do what you consider you need to do. The expression shoot your shot, it might be helpful to think of this as a sports-related expression. You can think of shoot your shot as meaning try to do the thing that you think you want to do. So for example, if you imagine a basketball player trying to shoot his or her shot, they try to make a basket in this example situation. So when you say shoot your shot to someone, it means try to do the thing that you think you want to do. There are many different situations where we use this expression. We tend to use it a lot in situations that have kind of a challenging feel, or maybe that make us a little bit nervous. Like for example, asking someone out on a date or talking to someone that you find attractive in a social situation. You might try to encourage your friend and say, "Go on, shoot your shot," which means try to talk to that person or try to get to know that person. So in those situations, it's always like try to do the thing that you want to do, or give it a go is another way you might hear this expressed. So these are all kind of encouraging expressions that are like saying, try it. If you think you need to do it or you think you want to do it, give it a try. So that's what this shoot your shot expression means. Thanks very much for the question. I hope that it helped you. Okay, that is everything that I have for this week. Thank you, as always, for your great questions. Hi everybody, welcome back to Ask Alicia, the weekly series where you ask me questions and I answer them. Maybe. Okay, let's get to your first question this week. First question this week comes from Jackie Chan. Hi Jackie. Jackie says, "Hi Alicia, how are you?" I'm good. "I don't know the difference between past tense and past participle." Okay, so let's talk about the differences between these verb forms. First, let's talk about past tense verbs. We use the simple past tense to talk about actions that started and ended in the past. We use this verb tense to talk about things that happened at a specific time as part of a schedule or as part of a timetable, for example. We can point to a specific time at which that action or that condition happened. Past participle, on the other hand, has a wider variety of uses. We use past participle verb forms in the perfect tense, for example. In an expression like, "I have eaten," eaten is the past participle form of the verb eat. In simple past tense, it's ate. So we use this past participle form in specific grammar constructions, like when we want to talk about life experience, just generally, not at a specific point in time. That's with present perfect tense. When we want to talk about past experiences that happened before another past point in time, with past perfect. And when we want to talk about future things that are going to happen at a certain point in time, with future perfect tense. So we use the past participle verb form in a variety of different constructions, but we cannot use simple past tense and the past participle verb forms interchangeably. They have different functions and different uses. So earlier I gave the example of "I have eaten something," right? That would be an example of a present perfect sentence or a present perfect structure. If I wanted to express a similar idea in simple past tense, I would say "I ate something," right? So the difference between these two example sentences is, for example, "I ate breakfast" is pointing to a specific point in time in the past. The action is complete, it's done, it's finished. If I say "I have eaten breakfast before," for example, it means at some point in time in the past, it doesn't matter when, I have the experience of eating breakfast. That's the difference here. Specific point in time versus just some general point in the past, at least in comparing present perfect tense and simple past tense. So please keep in mind that we cannot use these two verb forms interchangeably because they have different functions. So I hope that this helps you. Thanks very much for the grammar question. Okay, let's move on to your next question. Next question comes from Anshika. Hello, Anshika. Anshika says, "Hi, Alicia. Can you tell me the difference between it's with an apostrophe and it's with no apostrophe?" Sure, yeah. This is a really, really small point for sure, but it's a very important distinction to make. First, let's talk about it's with an apostrophe. it''s. This is the contracted or the reduced form of it and is. So instead of writing it is in a sentence, we typically write its, and we use it plus ''s to do this. For example, it's rainy outside, or it's a nice day today, isn't it? We use it''s to mean it is. It's with no apostrophe, however, refers to the possessive form of it. So this means we want to show that something owns something else. For example, the dog is chewing its toy. In this sentence, there is no apostrophe before the S because we need to show ownership. The dog owns the toy. We show this with its with no apostrophe. So this is a very, very small point, I know, but it does make a big difference. So when you're writing, please, 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 be very careful not to mix these two up. A really good way that you can test to make sure if you have the right its in your sentence is to try replacing its with an apostrophe or without an apostrophe with it is. Check and see, does it is make sense in this sentence? If yes, you need to use the apostrophe form. If it doesn't make sense, you need to use its with no apostrophe to show possession. So this is a really quick tip that you can use to hopefully make sure you always choose the right its or its in your writing. Thanks very much for the question. I hope that this helps you. Okay, let's move on to your next question. Next question comes from Ramzad. Hi, Ramzad. Ramzad says, I have been to London. I have been in London. In these two sentences, is the speaker currently in or out of London? Good question. I have been in London and I have been to London. Well, I have been to London is probably something said by a person who is not in London now. We're probably talking about our travel experience or maybe work experience if we use a sentence like that. Oh yeah, I've been to London. We typically use these kinds of structures when we're talking about a place we are not currently in. In your other example sentence, however, we would probably make a slightly different sentence. For example, I have been in London for 5 years, or I have been in London since 2017. We would probably have a little bit more information. In that sentence, the speaker is probably in London, talking about where they are living or maybe where they're working, or they are actually somewhere else, but they're talking about the place where they live or work currently. So for example, maybe they are traveling to another country on a business trip, or maybe they're taking a vacation to another country or something, but they're speaking with someone they met there. They might say something like, oh yeah, I have been in London for 5 years, to mean I have lived there for 5 years. You might hear someone say something like that. But generally speaking, we talk about this in this way if we want to express our current condition or our current situation. So to recap, I have been to London sounds like you're talking about a travel experience or a life experience. I have been in London for 5 years, or I have been in London since 2017. Sounds like something that is continuing and you maybe are in London at the moment, or your current situation is you live in London, you're just not there at the moment of the conversation. So I hope that this helps you. Thanks very much for the question. All right, great. That is everything that I have for this week. Thank you, as always, for sending me your questions. Hi everybody, welcome back to Ask Alicia, the weekly series where you ask me questions and I answer them. Maybe. Okay, let's get to your first question this week. First question this week comes from Camilo. Hi Camilo. Camilo says, hi Alicia, what's the difference between the last time and last time? Are they interchangeable? Nice question. I'll start this answer by saying it depends on the sentence, but let's break down some key differences between these two phrases. Let's start by talking about the last time. So when we have this article, the last time, it means we're being specific about the final instance of something, or we want to talk about specifically the most recent instance of something. We can use this in two ways like this. For example, the last time I saw him, he seemed to be in a good mood. This means in the previous instance of meeting this person, he seemed to be in a good mood. However, if we change the sentence to something like, this is the last time I'll see you, it means this is the final time I'm going to see you. We cannot use last time in this way. We have to use it with that the article. We have to use the definite article there to show that this instance in specific, this instance in particular, represents the final version of something. So again, there are two ways that we can use the last time, and it depends on the structure of the sentence, which meaning is intended. Here's another example. We could say, for example, the last time I went to that beach, it was really crowded, which means the previous time I went to that beach, it was really crowded. We could use a different example sentence to say something like, this is the last time I come to this beach. It's too crowded. That means this is the final time I'm going to come to this beach. So you'll notice the sentence structures are different and they communicate different ideas, but they both use that the last time. So it's really important to pay attention to that sentence structure. So let's compare this to just last time with no article. You could say something like, last time I saw him, he looked really good. He was in a great mood. Again, this refers to the previous time you saw someone. However, we cannot use just last time without an article to refer to the final instance of something. We could use last time to refer to my other example situation with, last time I came to this beach, it was really crowded. That's perfectly fine. But again, we cannot use last time to refer to the final instance of something. We can only do that with the definite article, the last time. So I hope that this helps answer your question about the differences between the last time and last time. Thanks very much for the question. Okay, let's move on to your next question. Next question comes from Ilya. Hi, Ilya. Ilya says, what's the difference between to do something by myself and to do something myself? Thank you in advance. Nice question. Yeah, to do something by myself versus to do something myself. The key here is that little by myself. To do something by myself means to do something alone, just one person. I'm going to do something without other people. When you use the expression to do something myself, it means I am going to do this thing, like using my hands or my brain, but maybe other people are nearby. So for example, if I say, I'm going to cook this dinner by myself, maybe a kid would say this, it means I'm going to do this without other people's help. But if you say, for example, I'm going to cook this dinner myself, it could mean, for example, that maybe you have a little bit of help or resources from somewhere else, but you are doing the work yourself. To give another example of this, you might say, I'm going to go to the party by myself. That means I'm going to go to the party alone. I'm not going to go with anybody else. So maybe another example you could think about is like shopping for a gift for someone. If you say, I'm going to go shopping by myself, it means I'm going to go shopping alone. So I don't need you to come with me. I'm going to do this as one person, just me, by myself. You could also say, for example, I'm going to choose this gift myself, meaning I want to make this decision with just my mind, with just my brain. It doesn't mean I need to be alone to do that. So this is maybe a kind of small nuance in some situations, but the basic feeling, the key feeling here is by myself indicates something that is done alone, no other people, no outside help, no other resources. It's just you, just one person. To do something myself refers to making a decision or maybe creating plans or something, using your own mind or maybe your own hands to create something. Another really good way to remember this is with the song that uses a lyric that's all by myself. The lyrics to the song are all by myself, I don't want to be all by myself. So this means I'm alone, I don't want to be alone. So you can kind of try to use this song as a way to help you remember the differences between by myself and just myself. So I hope that this helps answer your question. Thanks very much. Okay, let's move to the next question. The next question comes from Mohammed Karman. Hi, Mohammed. Mohammed says, what is the difference between chaos, riot, and mess? Okay, nice question. What's the difference between chaos, riot, and mess? Let's start with the word riot because it's perhaps the most specific of the words in this group. A riot is a big group of people, generally a mob of people, a ton of people, a lot of people that are generally really upset about something, or in some cases they're really excited about something, really happy about something. But a riot refers to a big group of people in a city causing damage and making a lot of noise to the city. For example, in a riot, people might get hurt, people might be killed even. There would be injuries perhaps, property damage like broken windows, people stealing things, for example. So this happens because people are upset or unhappy with something, or you might even see riots happening after sporting events. Maybe one team is really upset that they lost, and so they react by rioting. You may also see this sometimes when people are really excited, like after a sporting event, the winning team or the supporters of the winning team go into this kind of crazy mode where they break things because they're so excited. I can't understand that, but sometimes you see this in the news. So a riot refers to that condition, that situation of a group of people causing a lot of noise and a lot of problems in their community for some reason. This can relate to chaos, one of the other words in this group of three. So chaos refers to something that is happening without order. There's no logic, there's no reason to it. So for example, in many cases, a riot may seem like chaos. There's just no order. There's no organization, there's no leadership in many cases. So a riot is oftentimes an example of chaos, something that doesn't seem to follow any kind of rules. We can see it in people's behavior, of course, but we also might see this in nature. So something that doesn't seem to follow a specific pattern might seem like chaos. So chaos is kind of more of an abstract concept. It's not a concrete thing we can touch or see or identify, but it's something that shows us a lack of order, something that doesn't indicate rules or organization. Finally, the last word in this group, mess. So a mess can be a very big mess or a very, very small mess. It refers generally to some kind of a mistake or the effects of a mistake. For example, at your house, if you spill something you are drinking, you create a mess. So it's a problem you need to clean up. In the earlier discussion of a riot usually leaves a big mess, something that needs to be cleaned up. Also, in abstract terms, chaos can result in a big mess that needs to be cleaned up as well. So a mess can be very small scale, it can be very large scale, and we can also use mess to refer to kind of mental states too. So when someone is really, really upset, maybe they're having a really hard time at work or in their personal life, and their head is kind of disorganized and jumbled up, and they need to clean up inside their head, that person might describe themselves as a mess. I'm a mess right now. I'm so sorry. So these are the different ways that we use mess, riot, and chaos. I hope that this helped you with your understanding of these words. Thanks very much for an interesting question. Okay, that is everything that I have for this week, so thank you as always for sending your great questions. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about a few sentence starting expressions. Let's begin. Okay, for this lesson, I've chosen 8 different expressions that we commonly use at the beginning of a sentence. We use these when we want to share our opinion, or we want to share bad news, or we want to get confirmation about something. We want to check something. So let's get started with these first 2 expressions. This first pair, both of these, are used when we want to be honest about something. We want to share our true feelings. The first one is to be honest. To be honest. So that means right now I'm going to be honest. I'm going to share my honest feelings, my honest opinion. So to be honest is how we begin this expression. To be honest, for example, to be honest, I didn't like the movie very much. So this is an expression you might use after you see a movie with someone and you didn't enjoy it and you want to express that honestly to the person you're with. We would probably say it like, To be honest, I didn't like the movie that much, or I didn't like the movie very much. So you want to be honest with someone. You don't want to lie and say, I liked the movie. You want to be honest. So we use this expression at the beginning of phrases like this, often with kind of an opinion that's not like a positive opinion. So maybe you have to disagree with someone, or you have to share a negative idea. We might begin that with to be honest. The second expression here is quite similar to this, to tell the truth. To tell the truth. So to tell the truth means to share your true feelings or to share true information. We use the verb tell here. So we don't use say, we don't use speak. We use this as a set expression, tell the truth. So again, this means you're sharing your true opinions, your honest ideas, or like some kind of true information. We would use this more as well if we're sharing like facts. With honest, it's kind of more like we're sharing our opinion. If you want to share a fact or like data, some kind of information like that, you might use to tell the truth instead. So again, you're telling true information here. For example, to tell the truth, I can't afford to go on a vacation. So again, this is something that maybe is like an uncomfortable topic. We don't want to talk about it a lot. So in this case, to tell the truth, I can't afford to go on a vacation means I don't have enough money to go on a vacation. So this may be an uncomfortable topic for the speaker. To tell the truth, I can't afford to go on a vacation. Yes, in this case, we could use to be honest, I can't afford to go on a vacation. So in both cases, they're kind of personal situations. There might be some cases where to tell the truth is used more to share like data or information or something like that. Like to tell the truth, our sales dropped last month. So that might be a case where it might sound a little more natural to use to tell the truth instead of just to be honest, which is a little more common for our personal feelings or our personal opinions. Okay, so let's continue on to the next couple of expressions. These are somewhat similar, this next group, these three expressions here. The first one, please be careful about this one. The expression is no offense, but. No offense, but. So the pronunciation here is not offense, like in sports, offense and defense. This is no offense, no offense. So offense here refers to making another person feel bad. So to offend as a verb, to offend someone means to cause someone to become upset. So you make them angry or sad or disappointed or something. Maybe embarrassed. So no offense means I don't mean, my plan is not to cause you to feel bad, but, so this is an expression that's often, unfortunately, that's often used before something that could make someone unhappy. So let's look at an example here. No offense, but I don't feel like going to a party tonight. So this is a very mild way to use this. So here, maybe the speaker was invited by the listener to go to a party. So another person might have said, hey, do you want to go to a party tonight? And I might say, no offense, but I don't feel like going to a party tonight. So that means I don't want to make you feel bad, but I don't feel like going. I don't want to go tonight. So this means it's not you. It's like me, it's my feelings. So no offense, but. This is a very, like I said, a very mild and kind of nice example. Some people use this expression before very rude things. For example, no offense, but your shirt looks really weird. Or no offense, but I don't know about that hairstyle on you. So sometimes people will share like very direct, very rude things. and they use no offense in front of it, but it's actually not a nice comment. So please try not to, of course, offend another person or just share rude opinions with this expression. I recommend using it in a situation like this, a very mild situation, to show it's not your plan or it's not you at all. I just don't feel like doing something, or I didn't enjoy something. So again, no offense, but, meaning I don't want to cause you to feel upset, but this is my feeling. Okay, so let's take a look now at the next one. The next expression is, I hate to say it, but. I hate to say it, but. So it is some information we are going to say. So I hate to means I don't want to say it. I hate to say it, but something, something. So this something, something is going to be unpleasant information. The listener probably does not want to hear that information. I hate to say it. You might also hear, I'm afraid to say, or I'm afraid to say this, but. So hate to say it is a little bit more casual, I feel personally. It means I really, really don't want to say this, but I have to. For example, I hate to say it, but I left your coffee at the coffee shop. So this isn't like a situation where maybe you go to a coffee shop to get coffee for your coworker. You get your coffee and come back to the office, and your coworker says, "Where's my coffee?" You might say, I hate to say it, but I left your coffee at the coffee shop. So you realize in that moment, oh no, I left it there. So you can use I hate to say it. I hate to say it. So again, this is a very light, casual situation. You might hear this in more serious situations too. Like, I hate to say it, but the company is starting layoffs from next month. So layoffs means like people will lose their jobs. So that could be a more serious situation where the speaker doesn't want to talk about it, but they have to, they must, there's some responsibility. So I hate to say it, but something unpleasant or something uncomfortable. This is a way to begin that. One more expression that's a little bit more old-fashioned, but you might still hear from time to time, is this one. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but. So you'll notice these all end in but. So that shows I don't want to say this, however. So what does this mean? Sorry, meaning I'm sorry. This part, to be the bearer of bad news. So this word here, the bearer, bearer. So to bear as a verb means to carry, to carry. Here, bearer, as in maybe you know like the ring bearer at a wedding, that means the person who carries something. So to bear is an old-fashioned word for carrying, like usually carrying something heavy. So to bear your luggage on your shoulder maybe. It sounds very old-fashioned, but in this expression it means the person who is carrying bad news. So this means I'm sorry that I am carrying bad news, but. So this is, again, used when you have to share some information that's uncomfortable or you don't want to talk about that information. For example, sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but our project was just canceled. So this is maybe a work situation. You are the person, or the speaker is the person who has the bad news. You have this message, this negative message, and you have to share this message with someone. You can say, sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but our project was just canceled in this case. It means I don't want to tell you this. I'm sorry that I have to be the person who tells you this, but here is the information. So you'll notice all of these end in this but. So it shows I don't want to say this, but I have to. I have some responsibility to. Or I don't want to upset you, but I need to share this information. So these three expressions you can use to do that in slightly different situations. Okay, let's take a look at the next pair. The next pair are used when you want to check something, when you want to confirm something. So in situations where you're worried, maybe you are the only person who feels this way and you want to check something. Let's look at the first one. Maybe it's just me, but So this is a common theme here. Maybe it's just me. So this it refers to the situation. Maybe this situation, or maybe this idea, maybe this concept, maybe this is just me, meaning maybe I'm the only person thinking about this, or maybe I'm the only person worried about this. But, so you want to check. This is used to check with the other people in your group or the other people at your office, whatever, to ask if they are experiencing the same thing as you. For example, maybe it's just me, but this bar seems really sketchy. So sketchy means like a little bit maybe dangerous or a little bit strange, maybe not the best place to be. So maybe it's just me, but this bar seems really sketchy. So I might say this at a new place with a couple friends, and I feel, in other words, this bar is a little sketchy. That's my feeling. And I use this kind of as a way to ask the other people lightly, do you feel this way too? Like maybe it's just me, I don't know, do you feel this way as well? This is a way to do that. Maybe it's just me, but this seems kind of sketchy. So this is one way to kind of check with the other people in your group if they feel the same way or if they have the same idea as you. Let's compare this to the next expression, very similar. Is it just me, or? Is it just me, or? And often this one ends in a question, actually. So again, is it just me? So that means, is it just me in this situation thinking this idea? Is it just me in this situation with this feeling? So am I the only one thinking this, or something, something, something? So let's take a look at an example. Is it just me, or does this room smell awful? Is it just me, or does this room smell awful? Means, am I the only person who is experiencing this right now? So in this case, maybe the speaker and some other people are in a room together, and the speaker thinks, it smells really bad in here. So awful means very, very bad. They think it smells really bad in here. Ugh. Am I the only person who notices? You might say, is it just me? Or does this room smell awful? In response, someone might say, yeah, it's just you. I don't smell anything. It's just you. So that means only you. You are the only one. Or they might agree. They might say, yeah, I noticed that too. Yeah, it smells awful. So you can use a yes or no answer to reply, to confirm, or to reject what the person said. So these two we can use to check the other people around us. All right. Finally, let's go to this last expression. This last expression is not similar to these two, but we do use it to confirm something. We use this when we want to confirm facts, so general information. The sentence, or rather the expression is, correct me if I'm wrong, but. So, correct me, this means fix me. So if I make a mistake, please fix me, is what this means. If I'm wrong, so if the information I'm going to say is not correct, please fix me, please correct me. So correct me if I'm wrong, but let's look at an example. So correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Barack Obama the 44th president of the United States? So maybe you're having a discussion and someone says like, oh no, I think Donald Trump was the 44th president of the United States. And you might think, that's not right. I don't think that's correct. When you want to show, like, there's a chance I'm not correct here, but I'm pretty sure, like 90% sure, 95% sure, my information is correct. So to show that, to show like you can correct me, but I think this is true. Correct me if I'm wrong, but, and here we use past tense. I'm using past tense wasn't because this is a situation that is finished, it's done. So Barack Obama is no longer president of the United States, but we use wasn't here. Wasn't he the 44th president. So correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but. We can use that to show we have a high level of certainty. We really believe we are correct, but you want to show you're being a little humble. Like, if I'm wrong, I might be wrong. I don't think I am, but please feel free to correct me if I am. So this is quite useful in like negotiation situations or discussion situations where you're pretty sure you're correct, but you want to show you are open to discussion about something. So this is good for facts and general information, like I said. Okay, so those are a few sentence starting expressions. I hope that you found a few things you can use in everyday life. If you have some more sentence starting expressions that you know about, please feel free to leave them in the comments, along with any other comments or questions that you have about this lesson. Of course, if you like this lesson, please don't forget to go to EnglishClass101.com to find some other resources to help you with your English studies. And also, don't forget to like and share the video as well. Subscribe to our channel too, if you have not already. Thanks very much for watching this lesson, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about 12 common expressions that use the word make. Let's get started. The first expression I want to talk about is a very common one we use for meals. The expression is to make meal. So this can be to make breakfast, to make lunch, to make dinner. This means to cook that meal or to prepare that meal. For example, in past tense, I made dinner last night. So it's up to you. You can use cooked dinner if you want, or lunch or breakfast or whatever. But generally, we don't use a verb like create or prepare, at least in everyday speech, because it sounds quite formal, especially prepare. Create might be used for like a professional chef. So in everyday speech, we typically use make, in past tense, made. I made dinner last night. The second expression for this lesson is to make a plan. To make a plan. So to make a plan just means to create a plan. So this can be a plan for anything, for travel, for work, for your studies. To make a plan means to create a plan. You will notice throughout this lesson there are lots of expressions that use the verb make to mean create. So this is a key difference between make and do. We use do a lot for activities. We use make when we are creating something. So in this case, to create a plan refers to make a plan. For example, we made a plan for the weekend. So here I'm using it in past tense again, and I'm following made a plan with for, this preposition for. This shows the purpose of the plan. We made a plan for the weekend, So in this case, I'm talking about my plan for my activities for the weekend. We made a plan for the weekend. Okay, onward to the next expression, very common, to make a reservation. To make a reservation means to reserve something. So we use this expression when we are calling restaurants, maybe bars, cafes, hotels. We would use this as well when we are making reservations for airplane tickets too. So anytime you need to reserve something, you can use the expression make a reservation. At a hair salon is another case. So for example, hello, I'm calling to make a reservation, please. So you can use this on the phone. Here I've used calling. I'm calling means right now I'm on the phone. This is an expression that's very commonly used to begin a conversation on the phone. So you can use this in any situation where you need to make a reservation. Okay. Let's move on to the next one, also extremely common, to make a mistake. To make a mistake means to do something incorrectly. To do something incorrectly. So to make a mistake, this is a very common expression because we make lots of mistakes. So mistakes happen a lot. So to express that, we can use something like this example. Oh no, I made a mistake. Oh no, I made a mistake. So again, past tense, made here. I made a mistake. So not mistaked. Oh no, I mistaked. But I made a mistake. So I did something incorrectly. That's what this expression means. Okay, so let's move on then to some more advanced expressions that use make. This one is to make something up, to make something. So here, there's some other information in the sentence. This expression means to lie or to create a false story. So this thing, as we'll see in just a moment, is something that is not true. So, for example, I made up a reason for why I couldn't go to the party. I made up a reason for why I couldn't go to the party. So this is an expression where we can put this something here. Yes, like let's make something up means let's create something that's not true. Let's make a lie. Let's create a lie. Or we can put make up plus, in this case, a reason. So in this example sentence, this reason is false. We know that because this expression, made up, means to lie or to create a false story. So if we say, I made a reason, it's not the same. We need to use I made up a reason for why I couldn't go to the party. So in this case, the lie was for the purpose of like escaping this party. So for why I couldn't go to the party. So for a reason I couldn't go. I was not able to attend. So maybe I was able to attend, but I didn't want to go, so I created a reason. This is a lie. So this is how we use the expression to make up something or to make something up. You can use both of them. Okay, let's move on to the next one. The next expression is to make do. To make do. This is interesting. This means to use something of low quality when you want something of high quality. So you want this thing, but the thing you have is down here. So you decide, okay, I'll use it. When we want to express that as a verb, we say to make do, to make do. For example, this isn't the equipment I wanted, but I'll make do. This isn't the equipment that I wanted, but I'll make do. So for example, I really wanted this camera for my project, but this is the camera my company has. So, okay, I'll use this. I'll make do. So it's of lower quality, yes, but I will do my best with this low quality item instead of the high quality one I wanted. So we say to make do to describe this. All right, let's move over to the other side of the board. The next expression is to make time to or to make time for. So these both mean to create time in a schedule. Of course, we cannot like create time, but this means like finding time in a schedule. So what's the difference between to and for here? We use to before a verb in the regular infinitive form. We use for before a noun. So this can be a person or an activity. For example, he made time for me on Tuesday. He made time for me on Tuesday. Again, past tense. And here I'm using for because the next item in the sentence is a noun, me. So he made time for me on Tuesday. So I could change this to, like he made time to meet me on Tuesday if I want to use a verb. So you can choose whichever you prefer, the verb form or the noun form. To make time for means to create time in a schedule. Okay, let's move on to the next one. The next one is to make up with. To make up with. So to make up with means to reconcile, which means to repair a relationship. So to reconcile with someone means, for example, you have a fight, an argument, a disagreement. There's something bad happens, something bad that happens in your relationship, and you have some distance maybe, or you have a problem. But to reconcile means to fix that relationship. So to make up with someone means to repair that relationship. For example, I finally made up with my roommate after our fight last week. So I finally repaired my relationship with my roommate after our fight last week. So made up with is a much shorter way of saying repaired my relationship with or fixed my relationship with. We don't really say that. We say made up with to mean like we repaired something that happened in the past that wasn't so good. In this case, we had a fight last week, but I finally fixed it. Together, we repaired our relationship. Okay, let's move on then to the next one, which is a little similar to make up with. It is to make it up to someone. To make it up to someone is used to mean to apologize with an action. So we usually use to make it up to someone after we apologize. For example, I'm so sorry I'm late. So apology. I'm so sorry I'm late. Let me make it up to you. Let me make it up to you. Let me apologize with an action. So let me fix the situation with an action. First drink is on me. First drink is on me means I will buy the first drink. So you're meeting someone, you're late. I'm very sorry, I'm late. Let me fix it. I will buy the first drink. That's what this means. So I'm sorry I'm late. Let me make it up to you. First drink is on me. So to make it up to someone, here someone is you. So you're waiting for this person. They are late. They decide they want to fix their error with a drink. So this is another common expression, but be careful. Don't mix it up with to make it up, or sorry, don't mix it up with to make up with. To make up with means to repair a relationship, kind of general. To make it up to someone means like to repair a past error with an action specifically. Okay. Let's move on to this one. To make a day or night or weekend or other time period of it. This is an interesting expression. This means to do an activity for a period of time. We use this expression when we are making plans and we decide, we should use this whole time period to do that activity. For example, why don't we go to the beach? We could make a weekend of it. We could make a weekend of it. So here's the suggested activity. Why don't we go to the beach? And then they say, the speaker says, we could make a weekend of it. That means this activity could be for one weekend. So we could do this activity, visiting the beach, for the entire weekend. So we could make a weekend of it. We could change this to day. We could make a day of it, so meaning a one-day trip to the beach. So that means using the entire time period to do an activity, to make a weekend of it, to make a day of it, to make a night of it, to make an evening of it, to make a morning of it. So we use these time periods. We generally don't use something like make a month of it. I suppose you could in like maybe very long travel situations, but we typically use this for shorter things, shorter activities, like a weekend trip or maybe a trip to a certain shopping mall in the morning. We typically don't use this for very long periods of time. So we could make a weekend of it. Sounds quite natural. Okay, let's move on to the next one. The next one is to make it quick, or to make it fast, or to make it snappy. So quick and fast both mean the same thing, to do something at a high speed. Snappy is kind of a casual, rough word, which means fast or quick. So we use it in this expression, not so much in other situations. But to make it quick, to make it fast, to make it snappy means to do something quickly. So we usually use this when we are in a rush to go somewhere, or we want to go somewhere very soon, or we want to do something very soon, and someone wants to do a different activity, and maybe we feel a little pressure or a little stress. So we say something like, "You want to shop now? Okay, but make it quick. We have to catch a train." So here, a person wants to go shopping, maybe they are traveling somewhere, and the speaker says, okay, but make it quick, or okay, but make it fast, okay, but make it snappy. So we have to catch a train. So this is the reason the person shopping needs to go quickly. So there's a train to catch. So make it quick, make it fast, make it snappy. Be careful, this expression can sound a little aggressive, like you're pushing the other person to do something quickly because like you have pressure or some stress in your situation. So make it quick, make it fast, make it snappy. Okay, the last expression for this lesson then is this long one, to make a mountain out of a molehill. To make a mountain out of a molehill. So a mountain is of course a very large part of nature. A molehill, this word comes from a small creature that lives in the ground called a mole. A molehill is very small. So a mountain is very large. A molehill is very small. So this is where these creatures live on the ground. So this expression, to make a mountain out of a molehill, means to consider a small problem as a big problem. To make a mountain out of a molehill. That means I have a small problem here, but in my mind, I consider it a very big problem. So for example, her mistake at work wasn't a big problem. She's making a mountain out of a molehill. So here, this person, this she, maybe made a mistake at work and she thinks, oh no, it was such a big problem. I feel so bad, I'm so upset. So she thinks the mistake is the size of a mountain. But her colleague, maybe, thinks, no, it wasn't such a big problem. It was very small. So this person, the person who made a mistake, is making a mountain out of a molehill. She's considering the problem as bigger than it actually is. So this is kind of like a don't worry expression. It's not such a big deal. To make a mountain out of a molehill. You may also hear this in the plural form. So don't make mountains out of molehills. You may hear that too. Okay, so those are 12 expressions that use the verb make. I hope that you found something new here. Of course, if you know some other expressions that use make, please feel free to share them in the comments. Also, if you want to practice making some sentences with one of these expressions, please feel free to do that in the comment section as well. If you liked this lesson, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and check us out at EnglishClass101.com for some other things that can help you with your English studies. Thanks very much for watching this lesson, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about simple present tense in English. Let's get started. Okay, I want to begin this lesson by looking at when to use the simple present tense. There are 2 points I want to focus on. Number 1, we use simple present tense to share facts. So facts refers to information that is always true. For example, I speak English. In this sentence, speak is simple present tense. In this example, he works in New York City. This is a fact, just information that is true. Works is a simple present tense verb. In one more example, they don't live in France. Don't live is simple present tense, but it's just a negative. They don't live in France. So these are examples of simple facts. We express facts with simple present tense. The second use of simple present tense is to express regular actions. So especially this is for items in a schedule or a timetable. When I say schedule or timetable, I mean, for example, something that happens every day at the same time, or every week, or every month, or every year. So it's something that we understand happens regularly. So, for example, I visit my parents every month. In this sentence, visit is a simple present tense verb, and we know that this is a regular action because we have this expression in the sentence, every month. In the next example, the bus leaves at 3 p.m. Leaves is in simple present tense. This is part of a timetable at 3 p.m. So we can understand this is part of a bus schedule. Finally, He doesn't call me every day. He doesn't call me every day. Here, again, we have a negative expression. He doesn't call is in simple present tense. It's a negative expression. And here we have every day. So this shows an action that does not happen every day. So these are the two ways to use, or the two times to use, simple present tense. Next, I want to talk about how to make simple present tense. First, let's look at how to make statements. I've broken this into positive and negative statements. First, let's take a look at how to make positive statements. We need to think about the subject of the sentence. When we're making basic statements, there are two ways to approach it. If your subject is I, you, we, or they, we use this pattern. So I, you, we, or they, plus our infinitive verb. So infinitive verb means just the basic form of the verb. There's no change to the verb, like eat, or sleep, or drink. Just the basic verb form. Then we can add extra information. So the most basic type of sentence is just a subject and a verb. But in many cases, we want to add some more information. We do this after the verb. If, however, your subject is he, she, or it, we use first the subject, then the infinitive verb, and then we add an S sound to the verb. So in most cases, we just change this to add simply an S. So infinitive verb plus just an S. In some cases, we add ES, and in some cases, we add IES. Here is the rule for understanding which type of S ending to use. We add ES, this ES, for verbs ending in double S, so SS, for verbs ending in O, SH, CH, TCH, X, and Z. So if the infinitive verb ends in one of these, we need to add ES when our subject is he, she, or it in a simple present tense statement. If your subject is I, you, we, or they, there's no change to the verb. So this is kind of a tricky point to keep in mind. This will get easier with practice to remember. Then, about this point, this IES ending. For verbs ending in a consonant, so consonant means the letters the letters that are not A, E, I, O, and U, and sometimes Y. But for verbs ending in consonant plus Y, we remove the Y and we add IES. So I'll show you an example of this in just a moment. So this is how we make positive statements with simple present tense. Let's kind of compare this then to making negative statements. When you want to make a negative statement, again, there are two kind of patterns to follow. Again, the subject is very important here. So if your subject is I, you, we, or they, we include don't before the infinitive verb. So yes, you can also use do not, but in everyday speech, we use this reduced don't typically. So do not sounds a little more stiff, a little bit more formal. We typically use don't in everyday speech. So I don't, or you don't, we don't, they don't, plus infinitive verb. So again, no change to the verb. And then in some cases, we add some extra information at the end of the sentence. The other pattern is the he, she, or it subject pattern. If the subject is he, she, or it, we use doesn't. So doesn't is the reduced form of does not. So he doesn't, she doesn't, it doesn't, plus infinitive verb, no change here. So when we make a positive statement, we need to add an S sound to the end of the infinitive verb. When we're making a negative statement, we do not need to make any changes to the verb. Just a plain infinitive verb is perfect, it's fine. And then we can add our extra information after the verb. So With this information in mind, let's practice making a few sentences with these examples. So, our first situation, our first example, they something something every day. If I want to use the verb cook in this expression, what should I do? First, I need to look at the subject of the sentence, they. I'm using they in this pattern. This is a positive, I know, because there's no not here. So, I follow this pattern. My pattern when they is the subject is just infinitive verb plus extra information. So I know this should be cook. They cook every day. This is the correct sentence. The next example, she something something reports every month. My verb here is write. Write. So I look at my subject. My subject is she. I know from my hint this is a positive sentence, so there's no not here. So I can go here. So she is my subject. Infinitive verb plus an S sound. I know that. So which S ending should I use? My verb here is write. It doesn't end in any of these spellings, and it doesn't end in consonant plus Y, so I know I should use just a simple S ending. She writes reports every month is the correct sentence. She writes reports every month. All right, on to the next example. He something something a car. So here my clue is not have. Not have. So my clue, my hint here, tells me this should be a negative statement. So I'll start my search here in the negative section. I see my sentence, my subject is he. So I know I should use this pattern. He plus doesn't plus infinitive verb. So again, no change to the verb in a negative statement. That means I can use doesn't plus have to make a negative. So the final sentence becomes, he doesn't have a car. He doesn't have a car. All right, one more example. She something internationally 4 times a year. Internationally. So internationally means outside her country or outside the place where she lives. So my verb here is fly. I see that this is probably a positive statement because there's no not here. So fly, and my subject is she, okay. So she plus infinitive verb. Now which S pattern should I use? My verb is fly, and it follows this pattern. So it's a verb that ends in consonant plus Y. So L is a consonant. Consonant plus Y ending. The rule is to remove Y and add IES. So the correct answer is flies. She flies internationally 4 times a year. So this is how we can find the correct verb form to use depending on the sentence. So your subject is very important here. Okay. With that, let's continue to making questions. This is about how to make statements with simple present tense. Let's practice how to make questions with simple present tense. Again, the subject of our sentence is very important. Let's take a look at these two to begin. These are our yes and no type questions. So when I say yes or no type question, I mean the questions we can answer by saying just yes or no. So, to make yes or no questions in simple present tense, we can use this pattern if our subject is I, you, we, or they again. Do I, do you, do we, do they, plus our infinitive verb, plus our extra information. I included here do I. This is kind of a rare pattern, this do I, because usually we don't ask ourselves like yes or no questions. But sometimes, if you're the kind of person who talks to yourself sometimes, as many of us are, you might think to yourself a do I question, like do I have a meeting today? Like you think out loud, you're thinking to yourself, you might say it out loud. So this is kind of a rare pattern, do I, but you might use it when you talk to yourself. So When we make an yes or no question, this is the pattern for I, you, we, and they subjects. If, however, your subject is he, she, or it, we use does to begin the question. Does he, does she, does it, plus infinitive verb, plus extra information. So again, notice when you're making a question, you do not need to make a change to the infinitive verb. There's no S here. There's no S sound that's added when you're making a question. We just need to change the do or does to match the subject of our question. So let's compare this to a WH question. So when I say WH question, I mean who, what, where, when, why, those questions. So when we're asking these like information questions, we want to get some information more than just yes or no. These are the patterns we use. Again, subject is important here. So we use WH question, like who, what, where, plus do, plus your subject, I, you, we, they, plus our infinitive verb and our extra information. If, however, again, our subject is he, she, or it, we use WH question, who, what, where, does, he, infinitive verb, extra information. So let's practice these two types of question in these examples. Let's begin here. There are two blanks, you'll notice. So, something, you, something, here. My verb here is work. So, I know that I need to put something in this one space. And since there's only one space, I can guess it's probably this pattern. So, this pattern, the information question pattern, requires two words before the subject. So this one, I can guess, follows this pattern. My subject is you, so I know this part should be do you. And my verb here is work, so do you work here. My infinitive verb does not take any changes in this pattern. Do you work here? So you might need to use this if you're shopping and you find someone, you have a question. Do you work here? Can I ask you a question? Okay, on to the next one. Something, he, something, in your neighborhood, in your neighborhood. So my verb is live, live. Again, one space here. My subject is he, so I go to this pattern and I have one word before my he subject. So I understand this is does. Does he? My verb is live. In this pattern, there's no change to the infinitive verb. Does he live in your neighborhood? Is perfect. Does he live in your neighborhood? Okay, on to the next pair. These two are going to use this WH question pattern. So, what, something, we, something for the party. My verb is need, need. So I've added this to make it a little easier to understand. What, something, we. So here I have we. Where should I look for the pattern that uses we? And before we is do. What do we? My infinitive verb takes no change, so what do we need for the party is the correct question. What do we need for the party at native speed? One more. When something, he, something, to the office. So here, my verb is go, go. Again, my subject here is he, so I need to look at this pattern. Before he is does, in between my question word and my subject. So when does he, my verb go, takes no change in this pattern. When does he go to the office? When does he go to the office at native speed? Okay, I want to end this lesson with a couple of kind of extra examples. I've used these why patterns. So you might know about this kind of advice pattern, which is using a why question to make a gentle suggestion. And this takes kind of an interesting pattern. We make this in kind of a special way. So it's why something, your computer in this case. My verb is restart, to restart a computer. When we make these advice patterns though, we use a negative here. So we follow this same rule, like this, but in this portion, the do or does portion, we follow this rule right here. We use the same negative words, don't and doesn't. This makes a kind of gentle, soft advice or suggestion pattern. So in this case, you is my subject. We learned over here, when you is the subject, the negative is don't. So we place it here. We'll make the negative don't here. Why don't you, no change to the verb, why don't you restart your computer? So this is a suggestion. I'm having computer trouble. Oh no, I don't know what to do. Why don't you restart your computer? Is something your coworker or your friend might say. Another example of this, why something, she something, her schedule, and my verb is change, change. So she is my subject. In the positive, it's does. We learned here the negative form is doesn't, doesn't. So why doesn't she, no change, why doesn't she change her schedule? Why doesn't she change her schedule? She seems so busy. So these are the different ways we can make questions and advice, giving suggestions with simple present tense. So this is an introduction to when to use, how to make, and a couple of extra points about simple present tense. I hope that this lesson was helpful for you. Of course, if you have any questions or comments, or if you want to practice making sentences or questions with simple present tense, please feel free to do so in the comment section of this video. Hi everybody, welcome back to Know Your Verbs. My name is Alicia, and in this episode, we're going to talk about the verb deal. Let's get started. Let's start with the basic definition of this verb. The basic definition of the verb deal is to address a situation or to take action regarding something. Some examples. The police are dealing with the case. I have to deal with some extra work this week. Okay, now let's look at the conjugations for this verb. Present, deal, deals. Past, dealt. Past participle, dealt. Progressive, dealing. So now let's take a look at some additional meanings for this verb. The first additional meaning for this verb is to distribute portions, especially with cards, like playing cards in card games. Some examples. Deal 5 cards to each player. You dealt him only 3 cards. So this use of deal refers to actually giving something, like distributing a set amount of something to people. So we use this a lot when we're playing card games. You might also hear it in some other situations, like they're dealing out, I don't know, everyone's lunches perhaps? I don't know. That sounds kind of strange to me, but perhaps you would hear it in a situation like that. It does tend to be used in cards a lot. So this motion, anytime you make this sort of motion, we can say deal to describe that motion. So this looks very similar to giving people cards, like at a casino or in a card game. So if you're using this motion, like dealing out homework maybe, for example, I don't know, like each person's individual portion of something, you can use the verb deal to describe that. The second additional meaning for the verb deal is to do business. This sounds a little bit casual, and it sounds kind of like you're doing something related to maybe retail or like the trading of goods. Some examples. We deal in second-hand goods. They're dealing in imported food these days. So these example sentences show us the type of business that a company does. In the first example sentence, we deal in second-hand goods. It means our business is related to second-hand goods, maybe buying, selling, auctioning, I don't know. So to deal in second-hand goods means that's the type of business, that's the nature of our business. In the second example sentence, they're dealing in imported food these days. It means that a company has maybe made its main business into imported food. So maybe they are sending and receiving food from other countries. Perhaps that was not the situation in the past, but now, in these days, they're dealing in imported food. That's their business. Those are the kinds of transactions they do. The third additional meaning for the verb is to become comfortable with something, like to accept something, often like a negative situation. Examples. He doesn't know how to deal with the changes. We're having trouble dealing with the loss of our jobs. Okay, so in the first example sentence, he doesn't know how to deal with the changes. Using deal with before the changes shows us that maybe the changes are kind of negative. So it's hard to accept those changes. It's hard to become comfortable with those changes. He doesn't know how to deal. So he doesn't know what to do in order to accept that new situation. In the second example sentence, the negative situation is the loss of a job, or in this case, the loss of our jobs, a negative situation. So it's difficult to become comfortable. It's difficult to accept that situation. So we can use the verb deal with, like we're having trouble dealing with the loss of our job. So we're having trouble accepting, we're having trouble becoming comfortable with this new negative situation. So when you hear deal with, it tends to have a kind of a negative nuance. So be careful. Sometimes I see this in talking like in customer service situations. So they'll say like, can you please deal with this person? It sounds really negative. Like this person is trouble. This person is like causing a negative effect on me. Like please deal with this person. It sounds really bad. So I don't recommend using deal with for people. All right, so now let's continue to some variations on the verb deal. The first variation is to deal out, to deal out. To deal out means to exclude a player from a card game by not giving them any cards. Examples. I was dealt out of the card game when I lost my last chip. Deal me out next round. I'm going to take a break. So to deal someone out means like they're not going to participate in the next round. In the second example sentence, we saw deal me out next round. So a round in a game of cards is like one turn of play. So like everybody plays their cards, the winner or loser is determined, and the round is finished. It's one like turn in a card game. It's called a round. So when we say deal me out next round, it means I don't want to participate or don't include me in the next round of play. So to deal someone out means to exclude that person. The next variation is to deal a blow. To deal a blow means to cause a negative effect on something. This is typically like an emotional or a mental effect. Examples. The failure of our new product dealt a blow to company morale. With every success, she deals another blow to her competitors. So here, we see deal a blow. To deal a blow to someone refers to causing a negative effect to someone or to something. So in this case, in the first example sentence, we saw dealt a blow to company morale. So something negative happened. So this product failed. And that dealt a blow. It means it caused a negative effect on company morale. So morale means like the spirit, everyone's spirit in the company, their enthusiasm. So it dealt a blow means it caused a negative effect. In other words, everybody was very unhappy because of the situation. In the second example sentence, we see kind of a positive situation for one person. With every success, she deals another blow to her competitors. So we see in this situation, there is a positive effect. Yes, her success is a positive effect. However, for her competitors, it's a very negative effect. Her success is good for her. Her success is bad for her competitors. So it's a negative effect. We can use deal a blow. So her success deals a blow to her competitors, causes a negative effect to the competitors. Okay, so those are a few ways to use the verb deal. I hope that you found something new or maybe found a new way to think about the verb. If you have any questions or comments or just want to try to make an example sentence, please feel free to do so in the comment section of this video. Of course, don't forget to give a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and check us out at EnglishClass101.com for some other great English study tools. Thanks very much for watching this episode of Know Your Verbs, and we'll see you again soon. Bye! First, let's start with the basic I got another, couldn't quite fill all the time needed. words. No. Hi everybody, welcome back to Know Your Verbs. My name is Alicia, and in this episode, we're going to talk about the verb fill. Let's get started. Let's start with the basic definition of the verb fill. The basic definition of the verb fill is to put as much as possible into something. Some examples. Fill this cup with water. She filled her bag with books. Now let's look at the conjugations for this verb. Present, fill, fills. Past, filled. Past participle, filled. Progressive, filling. Now let's talk about some additional meanings for this verb. The first additional meaning is to take up all the space or to spread into a space. Examples. A delicious aroma filled the kitchen. Smoke is filling the room. Get out. So in these examples, we don't necessarily see like a physical object that we maybe pour or that we put into something else, but rather it's something, some material or some sort of conceptual idea in some cases that can spread into a space. In this case, with these examples, I'm talking about a room. In the first example, it's a delicious aroma which filled a room. So we can't see it, but the aroma, so aroma means smell, like a nice smell. So a delicious aroma filled the room or filled the kitchen, meaning the aroma went into all parts of the room. So not just in one place, but we want to emphasize the aroma, the smell was everywhere. We use the verb fill to do that. In the second example sentence, it's about smoke. We see it in the progressive tense. Smoke is filling the room. So that means the room is not yet filled with smoke, but right now smoke is coming into the room. So smoke is entering the room very quickly. It's spreading into the room like it might fill the room. So we say smoke is filling the room. Get out. It's a dangerous situation. So it doesn't have to be a room. It doesn't have to be a physical space. We can also use mental space as well. Don't fill her head with crazy ideas, for example. It doesn't mean physically filling someone's head with ideas. It means giving them lots and lots of crazy ideas. So this can mean a physical space, yes, but it can also refer to conceptual spaces too. The second additional meaning for this verb is to put a person in a job. Some examples. Thank you for your interest, but the position has been filled. We need to fill the position by next month. So here we see fill used with words like position or job. So to fill a position means to find a person to do a specific job. In the first example sentence, it's actually a common expression used to decline someone for a job or used to reject someone. Thank you for your interest, but the position has been filled means we found another person to do the job you applied for. We don't need you, sorry, in other words. So a job that has been filled is a job for which a person has been found. So someone has that job. It's done. It's finished. In the second example sentence, we need to fill this position by next month. It means we need to find a person to do this job. We need to put a person in this position to do this job by next month. So to fill a position refers to getting a person to do a job. Let's go on to the third additional meaning for fill. The next additional meaning for the verb fill is to fix cracks or breaks in a material with something. So let's look at some examples. My dentist filled a cavity yesterday. Let's fill this hole with glue. So these are kind of specific situations. My first example sentence refers to teeth. So I said my dentist filled a cavity yesterday. A cavity is a hole in your tooth. So when a dentist fills a cavity, the dentist uses a material to fill the hole. So there's something that's making the hole fixed, in other words. We're fixing the hole with a material. We use the word fill to talk about that. In the second example sentence, let's fill this hole with glue. It means there's maybe a hole in a wall or there's some, small crack or some small hole that needs to be fixed. Someone might suggest, let's fill it with glue. So let's put glue inside the hole to fix the hole. So we can use the verb fill to refer to fixing cracks or holes or breaks in one material by inserting another material inside. So the fourth additional meaning for the verb fill is to cause someone to feel an emotion strongly. Examples: your good news fills me with joy. He heard a scream and it filled him with terror. So in these example sentences, we see one that's very happy, filled with joy, and another one that's quite scared, filled with terror. So to be filled with an emotion means it's like that's the one emotion that you feel. You feel that one emotion very strongly. So in the first example sentence, your good news filled me with joy means like I felt only happiness. I felt joy only. My whole body was full of, I was like made of, my whole body was composed of the emotion of joy. In the second example sentence, however, it's terror. Terror, he was filled with terror. Terror is a noun, which means fear. But terror is like a step above, or maybe two steps above fear. So terror, filled with terror, is like he was very, very afraid, in other words. But we used filled with terror to like emphasize his whole body felt this one strong emotion. Okay. All right, let's continue on to some variations for this verb. The first variation is to fill in or to fill out. To fill in or to fill out means to complete or to write in information. Some examples. Please fill in the form. We filled out all the documents. So to fill in or to fill out means like to write your information on usually like a form, an application. You can use this for physically writing something. Or you can use it for forms and like documents on the internet as well. This is okay for digital forms, digital information sharing. So when you need to give your information to someone else using like a form, using some kind of like, I don't know, checklist, some kind of sheet, we can use fill in or fill out to refer to that. So meaning complete everything here. The next variation is to fill someone's shoes, to fill someone's shoes. This expression means to be able to do the things another person, usually your predecessor, the person who came before you, was able to do. Examples. I don't know if this president can fill the shoes of the last president. Do you think she'll be able to fill her mentor's shoes? So this expression doesn't actually mean someone's foot being able to fill their predecessor's shoes. It doesn't mean that at all. It means, is this person, the current person, going to be able to do the things their predecessor did? So in the first example sentence, I don't know if this president can fill the shoes of the last president means, I don't know if this president is going to be able to do the same things that the last president was able to do. So that means like the last president was a very capable person, could do many things, or had a positive role. So this usually means that like the predecessor was a kind of like honorable, or maybe could do their job really well. It has a good nuance to it. So to fill someone's shoes is like to be able to do the same thing at the same level. In the second example sentence, do you think she'll be able to fill her mentor's shoes? It's a question about someone's ability to do the same things her mentor did or does. We don't know. But again, like, can she do the things her mentor is able to do? You might also hear the expression big shoes to fill. Big shoes to fill. Which we don't tend to use like in a sentence. We'll just say like, oh, wow, you have big shoes to fill. Meaning your predecessor, the person who came before you, set a very high level for their job or maybe in their lifestyle. Like they were a really honorable or good person or very good at their job. So if you hear the expression, wow, he has big shoes to fill, it doesn't mean like actual foot size. It means they have like a big expectation to live up to. Interesting phrase. Okay, that's it. So those are a few new ways, I hope, for you to use the verb fill. I hope you found something new and interesting. Of course, if you have any questions or comments or want to practice making sentences, please feel free to do so in the comment section of this video. Hi everyone, I'm Alicia. Welcome to Conversational Phrases. In this lesson, you'll learn conversational phrases to answer the question, what are you doing? After watching this video, you'll be able to answer this question and tell someone something about what you're writing. Now let's take a look at some conversational phrases.
Listen to the dialogue.
What are you doing?
I'm writing my journal. Listen to it again.
What are you doing?
What are you doing? I'm writing my journal. I'm writing my journal. First of all, you'll need to learn how to say, "What are you doing?" That's
What are you doing?
listen to it again.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Now, how do you answer this question? The pattern is I'm writing object. I'm writing object. For example, I'm writing my journal. I'm writing my journal. I'm writing my journal. Here are a few more phrases you can use with the same pattern. My journal. My journal. My journal. My journal. My journal. My goals. My goals. My goals. My goals. My goals. My dreams. My dreams. My dreams. My dreams. My dreams. A to-do list. 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 Let's look at some examples. Listen and repeat or speak along with the native speakers.
What are you doing?
I'm writing my goals. What are you doing?
What are you doing?
I'm writing my goals. I'm writing my goals.
What are you doing?
I'm writing my dreams. What are you doing?
What are you doing?
I'm writing my dreams. I'm writing my dreams.
What are you doing?
I'm writing a to-do list. What are you doing?
What are you doing?
I'm writing a to-do list. I'm writing a to-do list. Okay, now it's your turn. Do you remember how to say, "What are you doing?"
What are you doing?
Imagine you're writing your goals. Do you remember how to say, "My goals"? My goals. My goals. Say, "I'm writing my goals." I'm writing my goals. Now answer the question saying you're writing your goals.
What are you doing?
I'm writing my goals. Now imagine you're writing your dreams. Do you remember how to say, "My dreams"? My dreams. My dreams. Say, "I'm writing my dreams." I'm writing my dreams. Now, answer the question saying you're writing your dreams.
What are you doing?
I'm writing my dreams. Now, imagine you're writing a to-do list. Do you remember how to say a to-do list? A to-do list. A to-do list. Say, I'm writing a to-do list. I'm writing a to-do list. Now, answer the question saying you're writing a to-do list.
What are you doing?
I'm writing a to-do list.
Hi everyone, I'm Gabriella. How are your English listening skills? In this video, you'll have a chance to test them out with a quiz. First, you'll see an image and hear a question. Next comes a short dialogue. Listen carefully and see if you can answer correctly. We'll show you the answer at the end. Are you ready?
A man and a woman are talking. Why was the man late?
I'm sorry I'm late.
Did you oversleep again?
No, I woke up at 6.
Then why were you late?
The bus was late.
Oh, really?
Well, to tell the truth, the bus was a little late, but I also made the mistake of getting off at the wrong stop. I had to walk quite a long way to get here.
Why was the man late? A man and a woman are talking. Why was the man late?
I'm sorry I'm late.
Did you oversleep again?
No, I woke up at 6.
Then why were you late?
The bus was late.
Oh, really?
Well, to tell the truth, the bus was a little late, but I also made the mistake of getting off at the wrong stop. I had to walk quite a long way to get here.
Did you get it right? I hope you learned something from this quiz. Let us know if you have any questions. See you next time. Hey everyone, welcome to the Monthly Review, the monthly show on language learning, where you discover new learning strategies, motivational tips, study tools, and resources. By the way, all the lessons and bonuses you're about to see can be downloaded for free on our website. So click the link in the description right now to sign up for your free lifetime account. Okay, today's topic is how to learn a language 2 times faster by learning in pairs. And no, this does not mean learning with another person. But if you're looking for a way to learn more, improve faster, and do both input and output instead of just focusing on one language skill at a time, then this month's episode is for you. You'll discover 1. How learning in pairs gets you mastering more of the language, and 2. How you can apply this tactic to your learning. So, how can you learn a language in pairs? Part 1. How adding a human dynamic boosts your motivation. First, what's learning in pairs exactly? Think about it. When we study a language, a lot of the time we focus on one skill at a time, right? For example, one day you'll focus on grammar, another day you'll focus on speaking. For the most part, we only focus on one skill at a time. Learning in pairs is combining 2 skills, pairing them up. For example, reading and writing, listening and speaking, and grammar and vocabulary, just like that. Why do this? Is there anything wrong with focusing on one thing at a time? Not at all. Any time you spend learning is time well spent. But learning in pairs has some advantages and can help you master a language faster. Number 1, it's a better use of your time. For example, instead of spending 10 minutes on a word list, you can spend 5 minutes reviewing and the other 5 minutes saying those words out loud. So that would involve vocabulary and speaking. So you improve 2 skills at the same time. And you end up remembering the words better because you're practicing them in 2 different ways. Number 2, you're forced to do input and output. Input is where you take the language in, like reading or listening, and output where you produce the language, like speaking or writing. That way, you get to practice what you learn instead of just passively taking it in. And passively taking things in isn't the best way to actually speak the language fluently. You need practice. So by including output, you're actively including practice into every session that you do. And number 3, learning in pairs breaks up the monotony of doing one thing at a time. You might also wonder, do the skills have to be related? They can be, like listening and speaking, or reading and writing. But it's really up to you and what works for you. In the next part, we'll show you some examples of pairs and how to practice them with our program. But to recap, learning in pairs means pairing up 2 skills, like reading and writing, speaking and listening, grammar and writing, grammar and speaking, as well as other variations that you can come up with. So if you read for 5 minutes, you should also write for 5 minutes, or speak for 5 minutes, instead of reading for 10 minutes. Plus, words and grammar rules tend to stick better when you practice them in different ways. This is a learning tactic called interleaving. So, here's how you can learn in pairs with our learning program. Part 2. How you can apply this tactic to your learning. First, for listening and speaking, take our audio and video lessons. Listen to the conversations and shadow along, or repeat what you hear. To make it easier, download the dialogue tracks, which give you just the conversations, and listen and shadow along with them. For reading and writing, you can read the lesson dialogue and then write it out. You can do this with the line-by-line dialogue or with our lesson notes. So, reading and writing, listening and speaking. These are the most obvious pairs to do. You can also try grammar and speaking. For every grammar rule you learn in our lessons, spend an equal amount of time creating and saying example sentences out loud. For example, if you learned the potential form, I am able to, or I can, come up with and say lines like, I'm able to run fast, I am not able to run fast, I can jump, I cannot jump, and then say them out loud. You can also do this while pairing grammar and writing. For every rule you learn in our lessons, write out the example sentences. Next, you can also try vocabulary and speaking. Use our free vocabulary lists. Review them first for 5 minutes, and then spend the next 5 minutes saying them out loud. You can also try listening and writing. If you're an intermediate or an advanced learner, listen to a lesson conversation and write it out as you hear it. Or, if you want something easier, play our vocabulary builder lessons, where you hear just the words and write them out. These are just a few examples of how to learn in pairs. Feel free to create other pairs that we haven't mentioned. And let us know which ones you came up with and how they worked for you. Leave a comment. So thank you for watching this episode of Monthly Review. Next time, we'll talk about the halfway point and how to keep going with language learning. If you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. And if you're ready to finally learn language the fast, fun, and easy way and start speaking from your very first lesson, get our complete learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account right now. Click the link in the description. See you next time. Bye! You want to learn a language and succeed, right? But where do you start and what do you do? There's grammar, speaking, listening, reading, and writing. So much to do and no clear pathway to follow. And it can feel overwhelming, right? But what if you had a clear step-by-step path of lessons that taught you everything you needed to know and took you from absolute beginner to advanced, and all you had to do was just follow the pathway? Well, you can do just that with our recommended learning pathway. But if you don't yet have access, sign up for a free lifetime account right now. Just click the link in the description. So, how does our recommended pathway help you learn the language fast? 1. You get a clear starting point. With any goal you have, it's important to know where to start and what steps to take. Otherwise, you quickly get discouraged. So that's where our recommended pathway comes in. The pathway is simply a collection of audio and video lessons to learn with, and assessments that test you on what you've learned in the last few lessons. So you get a clear, step-by-step pathway of lessons laid out for you. Just follow the pathway, complete the lessons, do the assessments, and that's it. You'll find the recommended pathway on your dashboard and in the lesson library. 2. You get lessons that are right for you. When you sign up and set your learning level, whether absolute beginner, intermediate, or advanced, we give you a level-appropriate pathway. There's Level 1 for absolute beginners, meaning you have no experience. Level 2 for beginners with some experience. And all the way to Level 5 for advanced learners. So your learning experience is tailored to you and where you are in your journey. 3. You can level up your language skills. instead of wondering if you're improving. How? As you're going through the pathway, you're constantly learning with the lessons, and you're constantly getting tested on what you've learned, with our lessons and multiple choice and hand-graded assessments. You'll find the assessments peppered throughout the pathway after every few lessons. And once you're finished with the Level 1 Absolute Beginner path, we give you Beginner, Level 2, then Intermediate, Level 3, and all the way up to Advanced. 4. You can easily stay on track and reach your language goal. Sticking with goals can be hard, especially when you don't see a clear path from where you are to where you want to be. But with the recommended pathways, you get a clear step-by-step pathway of lessons. All the lessons are laid out in front of you. Just do one lesson a day and follow the path until the end. By the end of that pathway, you'll level up your language. So if you're feeling overwhelmed with language learning and if you just want one clear pathway to follow, take advantage of our recommended learning pathway. But if you don't yet have access, sign up for a free lifetime account right now. Just click the link in the description to sign up. Want to speak more of your target language? Well, here's a completely free way to boost your vocabulary so you can understand more, speak more, and increase your fluency. In this quick guide, you'll learn all about our free vocabulary lists, how you can unlock hundreds of vocabulary lists that we give only to our users, and how you can learn new words and phrases fast without having to memorize for hours. But first, if you don't yet have access to our free vocabulary lists, be sure to sign up for a free lifetime account. Just click the link down in the description to sign up right now. So, how do these free vocabulary lists increase your fluency? Here's how. First, you can boost your vocabulary and range of expression with hundreds of vocabulary lists spanning all the must-know topics. Just look for the vocabulary lists inside the vocabulary drop-down menu on the site, and there you'll find lists for all kinds of topics, such as introducing yourself, talking about weather, the most common conversational phrases, holidays like Valentine's Day, Halloween, Christmas, New Year's, and much more. Second, you can practice your listening skills. By hearing the words at both native speed and at the slower half speed. Just click on the speaker icon next to each word to hear it at normal speed, and click a second time to hear the word at half speed, and you'll easily start understanding the word anytime you hear it. Third, you can practice your speaking skills with the voice recorder, a premium feature inside the vocabulary lists. Just click on the microphone icon to record yourself saying the word or phrase. You can also listen to the native pronunciation and your own pronunciation side by side. That way, you can instantly hear how close you are to the native speaker and how to improve. Fourth, you can easily review the words with the Vocabulary Slideshow tool. Just click the Play Slideshow button at the top and sit back and listen to the words. You can also play the slideshow on loop until all of the words and phrases are stuck in your brain. And fifth, if you want to master these words even faster, you can save them to your word bank or study them with the flashcards. Both are premium features. The word bank is your personal collection of key vocabulary, where you can also create printable vocabulary study sheets. And with flashcards, you can drill the words and retain them forever, thanks to our smart spaced repetition system. So if you want to boost your vocabulary and speak more of your target language, then get access to our free vocabulary lists. Sign up for a free lifetime account right now. Just click the link in the description to sign up. Want to easily remember new vocab and phrases? Fact: everyone, beginners and advanced learners alike, forgets new words the first time they learn them. So what's the secret to remembering? What do smart learners do? They note them down and review them later. And you can do this with our study tool called the Word Bank, your extended brain for language learning. And in this video, you'll discover 1. How to save keywords and phrases, 2. How to review the words so that you never forget them, and 3. How to create your own printable vocabulary worksheets. But first, if you don't yet have access to this tool and our lessons, just click the link down in the description and sign up for your free lifetime account right now. First, what is the Word Bank? The Word Bank is a premium study tool, and it's your personal language database, where you can save new words and phrases with a single click, review them all in one spot, and never forget them. Think of it as your extended brain for language learning. Look for the word bank in the vocabulary drop-down menu on the site, or inside the menu in our app. So, how do you take full advantage of this powerful study tool? 2. How to save keywords and phrases. If you're taking a lesson and want to save key vocab, simply go to the vocabulary section. Select the words you'd like to save and click on Add to Word Bank. If you're using the core word list, like the 2,000 most common words, or the vocabulary lists, select the words, go to Add Selected Words, and click on Word Bank. Now, the words and phrases are saved in your word bank, and you can even organize the entries with labels like adjectives, verbs, or phrases. 3. How to review the words. Once you save the words to your word bank, you can easily see all of them, all in one spot. With every word or phrase, you get the audio pronunciation, the translation, and even the related lessons where they're introduced. That way, you can review the words one by one. If you'd like to study words with flashcards, just click on Sync to Flashcard Deck. This will create a flashcard deck of your word bank entries for you to study. 4. How to create your own printable vocabulary worksheets. If you want to have physical worksheets and practice writing the words on paper, then click on Printer-Friendly Version and print out your word bank entries. You can even export your word bank as PDF, CSV, or XML files. Remember, you can use this powerful feature with flashcards, lessons, and vocab lists, so take advantage right now. Save new words and phrases to your word bank with a single click. Review them all in one spot and never forget them with the word bank feature. But if you don't yet have access, sign up for a free lifetime account right now. Just click the link in the description to get your free lifetime account. Great work! Here's a reward. Speed up your language learning with our PDF lessons. Get all of our best PDF cheat sheets and ebooks for free. Just click the link in the description.